Okay. Hello, one and all. So today, we're gonna be talking about, oh my god. Maybe that's a sign of break. Or more water. Wow, that was good. There was no trash can there, I was just throwing it. So today we're gonna touch on a topic I've been kind of trying to pick up, and I know I've already done one video about it, but unfortunately this is the revamp. Life is like D&D. Or better yet, D&D is like life. And I apologize for the background noise. I, however, have to have the AC on because I am roasting. Being connected to the collective consciousness is high energy. So, we're getting back into it. What if D&D is basically life? I've spoken about it in a previous video, but we're gonna refresh that, revamp it. Life is D&D. All we know, as we all know, well, those who played life can be compared to what? Fuck my notes. Basically, those who've played it understand, and it's been a game that's been around since, I want to say the 60s, probably even before that. I really kind of talking to my butt here. But D&D, Dungeons and Dragons, uses a lot of real-world subjects, just like most games. In fact, most games are getting closer and closer to being as realistic as possible. But I would have to argue, out of any game, Dungeons and Dragons is probably the closest to a real-life simulation as any of the other games. And you're like, well, how can that be? It's a game about mythical creatures. Well, they're not mythical. That's just a lie. But what I mean is, like, underneath all that math, which there's a lot of fucking math, I would have to argue, under the convoluted rules and math, it is the closest, which we actually use a lot of math in everyday life. We just don't know it. I choose to think of life like this, but not to disconnect, more like a coping mechanism. I know a lot of people use it, like LARPing. LARPing is fun. Well, I've never done it, but people love to do that because they want to disconnect from reality. They want to take a break and do something else, have some fun. Like video games. Any game, mainly. Games have become a way to disconnect from reality and cope with it. Now, I mean not a form of disconnection, but a form of just coping with whatever dynamics you can in a way that makes sense. It's kind of like when you learn something, each person is different. That's why certain kids perform and some don't. You have in school this system where kids are supposed to learn these subjects. Again, some kids don't understand it the same way, some do, some, and then the teachers who actually reach to the kids and their individual needs find that, maybe this kid can excel in books and just learn from reading. This kid may actually have to be physically shown how to do it. Where the hell am I going with this? Damn, okay, the AC is just gonna go crazy. I'm okay with that. Where am I going with this? So it's used as a coping mechanism to learn for me. For instance, years ago, I made the choice, whether I was disconnected or grounded or not, to treat life like a video game. Why? Because I was always better at video games. So if I started thinking of life like a game, it made it easier for me to cope. But it's not like I'm disconnecting from reality and trying to jump on mushrooms' heads and stuff like that, It's not a replacement for reality, but a tool to help me understand reality. Some people play games too seriously. Oh, here was the other thing I was going to say. Some people play games too seriously. I've always been one of them too. Competitiveness runs in, just society. We're taught to be competitive. So games are now more or less fun and more serious. Like, there are literally competitions. You can win money and high stakes and popularity, but then to me it takes out the fun, because people get so focused on the competitiveness that they just forget to enjoy it. But games were originally meant to be fun, just to have fun, get together and enjoy each other's company. I know in the D&D group I was recently in, like 6-7 months ago, it wasn't fun. Like, we did have a certain amount of time because we were playing at a local card shop, and we could only meet so many times a week. So the dungeon master would rush us through it, put us on a timer. Okay, you have 10 seconds for this phase, you have 20 minutes for this phase. Like, it wasn't even that long. It's like, all right, move along, move along, move along, move along. He was more focused on running the game than us playing it. He wanted to get through these campaigns and get us to the end of the game. As a lot of people treat life. We always want to be somewhere else, kind of thing. So I felt like it took out the fun. We couldn't sit there and talk. We couldn't sit there and have fun. It was on a time crunch. It's like, well, I mean, I understand, but why can't we sit here for like 10-20 minutes and just talk and discuss and have fun? That's what it's supposed to be, fun. So I left the group. I was not enjoying it. I was not having fun. So mainly, I think of it this way so I remember to have fun with life. Have fun in life. And treat it more whimsically. In fact, some of the esoteric rules or laws or advice is to remember to have fun with life. Even in the bad stuff. And when you treat life like a game, it's a lot easier. So like, say you're playing D&D and you come up with a dragon. Well, dragons are fucking scary. Well, they can be. Some of them can be. So, but in the game, you're like, oh my god, a dragon, yes, that's so cool. But in real life, when you get something that's a obstacle like a dragon, in real life, we're like, oh my god, my life is over, It's all about perspective. So treating life and shifting perspectives kind of helps me just cope with it and process it and deal with it better, in a sense, without disconnecting from it. It's also based on patterns I've noticed. Certain things, like, okay, I will actually say where I worked. I've probably said it in a few videos before. I used to work at a UPS store, and I started noticing these funny things, like, we call them rules of the universe or laws of the universe, but they're man-made. So like, Murphy's Law. Yeah. If it could go wrong, it would go wrong, kind of thing. I think that's right. I'm pretty sure I'm quoting that right. If it has the capacity to go wrong, it will go wrong. I don't like believing in that law anymore, but it was a stereotypical law that people believe. It's a mindset. It's a perspective. For instance, while I worked at the UPS store, say, for instance, there was a customer coming in, and he had to deal with me specifically because maybe I helped him the other day, and he had some questions about the package or the project or the whatever we did together. So he wanted to talk to me specifically. Well, I'm over here like, I want to go on break. We have a Starbucks literally walking distance from the one I worked at, and the crew would constantly just go walk over there 10-15 minutes, get a coffee, and come back. We would just enjoy a beverage while we're at work. In fact, it was almost like another family kind of thing. Like, everyone knew everyone there. They all knew the UPS crew, we all knew the Starbucks crew, so on and so forth. Getting off topic here. So, I would be waiting to go on break, and I'm waiting for this customer. He calls me, says, hey, I'm gonna come and meet you, I'll be there at like 3 o'clock. It's now 3:30, and I'm like, yo, dude, I want to go on break. Like, come on, I've been waiting for you. Even the manager's like, you can't go on break yet, just in case. So I go, okay, let's test this theory. Murphy's Law or whatever. Watch this. I put my keys in my pocket, I grab my wallet, I grab everything, I get myself suited up, and I go to walk out that door. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna go get me a coffee anyways, and just hope he shows up when he shows up. He'll just have to wait. And as soon as I start walking around that counter, dude comes in, hey, are you Adam? I'm just like, yeah, well, that's me. Go back, put my keys down, put my wallet down, just do all that stuff. It's like, so I got to the point, I would look at my manager and be like, okay, I'm gonna go trigger the event. He goes, trigger the event? It's like, yeah. Just like, a video game or D&D. Say you've got that whole Ernest Hemingway, no, it's Robert Frost, I'm sorry, Robert Frost's poem, 2 roads diverge in the woods, whatever, I take the path less traveled. Totally butchered that, but you get the idea. So say in D&D, you have 2 options, or 3. You're presented with a choice. Say you're going to walk forward and you have 2 or 3 paths to choose. Now, if you go down this path, nothing may happen. You go down this path and it triggers an event. You go down this path and it triggers something else. But it won't happen until you go down that path. So people use that in video games too. It's like, I'm on a quest, and you can actually pause the quest by not speaking to this person. And then you can wait and put that quest on hold, because that quest is now effectively paused until you trigger the event by going in a certain direction. So I started treating life like that. It's like, okay, it's called the rule of causality, I believe. Or it may not be called that, but you get what I'm saying. It's cause and effect. And it's based off perception. So at some point, again, I shifted that perspective. It's like, okay, let's go trigger the event. I would joke about it every day from that point on. It's like, all right, if I wanted something to happen in my time, I would go trigger something. In fact, Nikola Tesla actually formed a rule off of this. It's the whole 369, and he was very into that whole triggering events. Like, if he wanted a positive outcome, he would go walk around his car 3 times before getting in, or knock on a door 3 or 4 times. You get what I'm saying. He would basically create a special pattern to trigger a specific event. So it's not just fantasy, it's a causality, it's a rule of the universe almost. So in my mind, it's a lot easier to think of it that way, because instead of just letting random things happen to you and believing you're a victim, it's like, no. Okay, I have choices. If I do this, or I do this, this could be the outcome. However, just like D&D, life has a, we'll say an X factor, but the X factor is the roll of a dice, which happens to do with luck. And a lot of people believe their luck is shitty, so they get lower rolls. But those who believe their luck is good get higher rolls and get more outcomes based on what they would like. However, since we use, I believe it's a 20-sided die in D&D, I mean, the rules vary, you use multiple dice, but typically you roll the 20-sided die for most encounters. And when you roll the 20-sided die, as you know, it's 1 through 20, and based off the number, you get a different severity. And that's where the randomness comes in. So maybe you will get a higher roll and you get an outcome you want, but it doesn't happen how you expected. So as they say in life, it's the luck of the dice, it's the luck of the roll. It was also a gambling term, but it's true. So sit there and tell me you don't believe life is D&D after this. Like, my job is going to be convincing you that it's basically the same thing. That's all I had in my notes, so my notes are now officially useless. And it could be from a sense of control. I'm not trying to control life anymore. At that point I did, like I just got done saying, if I wanted something to happen, I would almost force it to happen by creating a certain pattern. But then when you roll the dice, you understand that there is also a force within you and within the universe that's just completely effing random and you can't predict it. No matter how much you try to trigger or control something, like as we've noticed, there's been times in life where you roll the dice and you think you have everything all settled out, you have the best perspective, you have the best mindset, and you've got luck on your side, and it still turns into an outcome you did not expect. You're just like, interesting. But that's when you focus on leveling up your character and just kind of deal with anything that happens, whether it was good or bad. we're going to go into multiple topics. This is going to be multiple video series talking about all the different elements within the game and within life. But this one is just a basic comparison, saying, I see the patterns. I see the patterns within the game and within life. Life is just one giant fucking metaphor. It's basically what I've come to decide. The game of life. It's not like I'm coming up with these terms, they're years old. Older than I. In fact, a lot of people who are successful play a game like a life. Play life like a game. You heard nothing. I think that's going to be it for this one. But yeah, the more I sit here and think about it, the more I talk about it, the more it just makes sense to me. How do you believe anything different, In fact, of course, you could almost say life is based off, or D&D is based off life, and life is based off D&D. Which one came first, the chicken or the egg? Of course, nowadays they want to say it's the chicken, which is probably true. But it's not proving the statement is what I mean. It's the profoundness of the question itself. Which one came first? Now I'm starting to go off on a random trail, and I think I'm making less and less sense. But was there anything else to add to this one? Most of this was actually not from my notes. My notes sucked. I did bad notes, just like in high school. I used to do terrible notes. I'd write down the gist of what it was, and I'd understand what I meant. Anyone else read my notes, they're like, what the fuck is this? I'm just like, it's my language. It's something I understand. They're like, well, I can't copy your notes. I'm like, no, you cannot. That's part of the decoding. I make notes only I understand. I make maps and paths and trails that only I get. Although, since I realized there are things that are useful and helpful advice, I'm trying to make a trail that's easier for you to follow. Half of these times, these videos just turn out to be babbling blah blah blah, blah gibberish. But I hope you get something out of this that's coherent. Again, this is just the intro video, so I'm not going to get into too many topics today, but yeah, life is just one big game. Whether you believe it or not, don't take it too seriously. I'm doing my best to follow my own advice. Because it's so easy to fall into something like when you hit a dragon, or when you hit a monster, or something that we did not expect. Because there are definitely times, and there was actually one really funny story during my D&D escapades. We weren't even to the dungeon yet, and we were just out walking in the forest trying to get to the dungeon, and we happened to trigger an event that killed half of our party right off the bat. We didn't even make it to our destination. We're just like, oops. Shit. But since we believe it's a game, we take it less seriously. It still sucks. You build up these characters, or you develop these characters, and they just drop at the drop of a hat. In fact, that was one of the things. It's a common rule: don't get attached to your characters. And that's kind of like the system of reincarnation, if you believe it. Holy shit! I think I turned on the AC too much. System of reincarnation is kind of the same thing. If you believe in that, certain characters. Oh, this is a good one. Certain characters only exist beyond a certain point, as we all know. Some characters' lives, some of your past lives, exist longer than normal. Longer than the other ones. But that's because you learn. I tell you, my very first character died in the dungeon. I made it to the dungeon, but because of one of my careless mistakes, I kicked open a door, someone was sitting there with a Molotov and lit my ass on fire and killed me. I'm just like, lesson learned. So my next character, we're not gonna do that. Yeah, it was just one of those, God. I'm just like, well, fuck. So then you use that lifetime, that character, as experience, and move forward to the next one. Now in reincarnation, we totally forget, but it's still encoded in our mind, still encoded in our DNA. And once again, just like real life and D&D, those patterns repeat until we do learn. I can bet you, if I didn't learn my lesson, because some people just love to play that way, I was a barbarian, go kick in the next door, there's a good chance my ass is going to be on fire again. Who knows? Maybe that's just my playstyle. And we just keep repeating that lesson and letting my characters die. Or you learn from it and you break the pattern and you not get your ass torched. Now, I think that was everything I wanted to say. That was trippy. I want to find me a new D&D group, but yeah, so if I don't have you now convinced, just wait. I'll get there. Like I said, it's going to be a multiple video series. Just take life a little less serious. Doesn't mean slack off and don't ever try and don't ever have any motives or goals or ambitions. Just treat it more like a game, more like a quest, more like it's fun. Just, again, don't get so wrapped up in the game. Because again, I play League of Legends. Oh my god, I can't enjoy that game. I get so competitive, it's like, fuck. Anytime I die, it's like, smashing keyboard. Although I stopped smashing keyboards because I hate replacing them. But it's just the lay of the land. It's just that game. That game specifically just really gets me. And then I forget I'm playing a game and it's not as fun anymore. I'm so serious and I'm so angry that it's just not fun. So then I stop playing that specific game until I can enjoy it and not take it so seriously. Just have fun. Yeah, I think that's it. Cool. Y'all have a great rest of your day. Watch for more. Oh yeah, because I never do these. Like and subscribe to the channel. Click the notification bell if you want to see more. And this is actually going to be on its own playlist. So once there's more videos, you can just watch the playlist. Although this one's going to be better structured, more understandable. I don't even remember where I was going with the initial content. I want to delete the video, but it's not a bad video, so we'll leave it. You have a great day.